Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
Welcome to the show, and this is Thursday's show, and this is going out on Mintwave Radio, so you can just ask Alexa, or you can go to KarenRobertsCoaching.com/Mintwave-radio if you want to listen in or look at our schedule, or you can see it on our podcast. You can go to KarenRobertsCoaching.com/podcast-network to see mine and other podcasts that are in our network. You can download the app for Apple and Android, and please subscribe and follow or leave a review. So today's episode is 106, and today we have Shataun, who is a relationship and transformational life coach, and we're going to be talking about relationship freedom for women. Now, I'm your host, Karen Roberts, and we provide a platform for coaches, consultants, therapists and healers to get their message heard to the people who need it. As owners of Mintwave Radio Station and the Raising Vibrations podcast network, which is on Podbean, we also have a directory. So come and find the right coach, therapist, healer for you. And if you'd like to be featured in our directory and have access to 1 million views throughout the year, then get in touch. My website's there. So Shataun Rogers is a CEO and owner of B3 Health and Life Coaching, LLC, a mother, a daughter, dual certified coaching practice focused on helping clients transform their mindset. Shataun is a relationship and transformational life coach with over 30 years experience. Her mission as a coach is to help one client at a time to achieve their life goals while simultaneously transforming their mindset in relationships, health, and career. So welcome to the show, Shataun. If you could share with the audience a little bit about your story. How did you come to be doing what you're doing now?
So I was in corporate, for many years, at two of the top Fortune 500 companies. But while I was in there, I was like, a mentor. I was a trainer. I was a facilitator. I was training, different companies, and I was always in a leadership capacity where I was helping others, right? And I was always teaching them, how to do something, or, it was just always something in that capacity. And I loved it. It's just like, oh God, I love training people. I love, helping people to learn, to grow, to, get to the next level or what have you. So about 5 years ago, I'm like, I want to do this for myself. I want to get out there, and I want to really make a difference. I don't want to train them for the company. I want to, I want to be able to give people, something that's tangible, something that can make a difference. So I decided to go to coaching school, and I got a dual certification in health and life coaching. And I actually started off as a health coach, but I couldn't relate to it. And I didn't feel like I was able to do it in integrity because I've never had any health issues. I've been very, fortunate with that. So I signed up, for another guy, and he helped me to find my life purpose. And my life purpose was to help women that attract unhealthy and toxic relationships, because I was doing the same thing. I was that person who was attracting, these unhealthy relationships. And so, yeah, that's, how it came about. Yeah.
Isn't it interesting? So many, I think most people that I do interview, it's always something, it's got to be something that resonates with you. It's so funny. We start out doing the things that we think we should be doing, or, okay, I want to be a coach, but okay, I've been told that being a health coach would be the way, but if it's not for you, it's not for you. Exactly. And so I think that's amazing that, what was it? What was the trigger that made you realize switching from health to this?
I was coaching my clients and, just listening to their stories, the diets and the up and down and the yo-yo and the struggle with food and, the health issues and, just all of that. And I just felt like it wasn't connecting for me. I felt like I said, I felt like I wasn't in integrity. And I used to have people, to say to me, well, Shatana, you're so thin. So you can just tell people the reason that you're so thin, is because you're a health coach. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's not even an integrity. I've never had weight issues. So I'm not going to, just try to reel these people in just because I'm thin to tell them, oh, look at me, I'm thin. So I'm a good health coach. No. So.
I love that. So you've got good ethics because, I come from the fitness background myself and health, and I was never super skinny. Still I'm not. I'm quite, I've got a lot of strength, but I'm not the, the perfect personal trainers that are in the gym. I've never been like that. And I agree. I used to find it, and I still do find it a little bit frustrating that you've got a 20-year-old personal trainer who's probably, done sport all their life. They've never had a weight issue, and they're not going to have the real understanding of even that it's not just what you eat versus how much you exercise. There's so many other things involved, hormones, emotional issues. And yeah, you're right. So bless you for staying with your, it's your moral obligation to find the right thing for you. Love that.
Thank you. Yes.
Awesome. So, with that, you say that you're really focused on mindset, and I would agree. Mindset, it starts with mindset, right? But how did your positive mindset help you to become, the beacon of light for women?
All my life, I've kind of just been drawn to it. Like I knew that I was going to be doing something that had to do with being a beacon of light for women. I didn't know in what capacity, but I could just feel it. Like literally my entire life, it was like I was being drawn to it, pulled to it. And everything that happened in my life led up to that. And so I'm just so passionate about it. And especially since I threw it, I'm a 2-time domestic abuse survivor. And so that was a part of my journey, and I suffered in silence, and I'm like, women shouldn't have to suffer in silence. It's about, the embarrassment, the judgment. I was successful, I was breaking glass ceilings. I had the husband, the kids, the house, the cars, and who wants to talk about that? Who wants people to know that they're going through that, right? And so, between that and just constantly attracting, the wrong people, I'm like, I have got to help women because there are other women out here that feel like they can't talk about it, that feel like they have no one that they can turn to, that's suffering in silence. And then, that's constantly attracting these same type of men over and over again. And so I just became really passionate about it. And, my coaching, I use the transformational coaching method, which helps release those patterns because it's a pattern, and so you keep attracting that because it's you have the trauma and you don't know that you have the trauma. And so it's like the energy of it, and you just keep attracting it until you start to break down those walls and all the compartmentalized stuff that's going on within you. So yeah, I'm like, I geek out on it. I'm like super excited about it.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
you said a few things there that really resonate. And this is the thing. I don't know whether I'm sure it's always gone on, right? Because years ago, it was really taboo to even get divorced. And then now these days, because of social media, everyone's putting their perfect life on show. And like you say, that, people, if they are in a relationship, a toxic relationship like that, on the face of it, people might think they've got the perfect life, and they are suffering in silence, and there's all sorts of feelings of shame, or they're not
Yes.
worthy.
Yeah.
And why do you think this is? Where does this all come from? Why have we sort of stopped allowing ourselves to be honest and transparent? What's the real fear there?
It's a cycle that carries on because my my thing is about breaking the cycle. Like, if you're 30 and over, professional woman that's ready, and I'll put that in quotes, to break the cycle of attracting, unhealthy and toxic relationships. And, I blame it on the old system. I mean, it says for better or for worse. And you take that literally. When I was in that marriage, I knew that it was an abusive marriage, but I took my vow seriously. I'm like, I have to keep my family together. I have to keep my kids with their dad. I have to, keep putting on the perfect, because everybody used to call us the Cosby family. This was in the, 90s or whatever. And, everybody looked up to us, and they just loved us. And it was like they wanted to be us. And so, I'm like, okay, I have a duty, right? I have to, I have to, keep up the facade. And so I think that's what happens. You just kind of get caught up in it, and you want to do the for better or for worse thing. But the thing that I'm teaching now, and just getting the message out to my clients, that for better or for worse does not mean abuse. If you are in an abusive situation, it does not include that, and I had to learn that. you know just it doesn't include abuse. Yes, you're going to go through your issues in marriage and relationships, but it should not be to the point where you're being mentally abused, emotionally abused, verbally abused, physically abused, even spiritually abused. So yeah, I think that's it. I think it's just that old system, that you take that, or you see your parents who,
Yeah,
your
and we
grandparents
think,
that made, and you see.
yeah, yeah, sorry, you were cutting out there a little bit. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, I'm
this is
sorry.
the thing. That's all right. So much pressure on us, and like you say, if you are in that kind of relationship and you don't, you're worried about the children. But what's worse, the children growing up, seeing this abuse. That's not going to be a good lesson for them either, is it? So far healthier to have it separate, and know that that's the right thing to do, isn't it? So it's not good for the children to be involved in if you're still together in an abusive
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's all about what we
And I,
we feel
yeah,
we should
it's
be
not.
doing. It's all these things that are put on us. We believe, or our perception is, that we should be doing this. We should be doing, rather than listening to our intuition. So with you, I mean, I know you talk about
Mm-hmm.
you're very
Mm-hmm.
much a
And you have
heart-centered
to.
coach. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You've got to go within and do what is the right thing for you. So you talk about heart healing and inner healing, but what does that
Mm-hmm.
really look like
Absolutely.
when you're working with your clients?
So basically, I have it where you can do weekly sessions or you can do bi-weekly sessions. And I'm sorry, my internet, I'm in Mexico. So they don't have the best internet here. So my internet is kind of going in and out. So I apologize because I can see it kind of, going haywire.
Staggered.
Um, but I know it is. So I do either weekly sessions or I do bi-weekly sessions, and it's usually 12 sessions. And so it's such a seamless process, the way that I have it set up. And, you start off with the reconnecting, and then you go into resetting, and then you go into recharging, and then you go. So it's like all of these, different phases, right? And then you have it set up, where pillar 1 and 2 is create your relationship vision. So we start to work on, what your relationship vision is. And then, for pillar 3 and 4, we, start to talk about growing into your commitment to self, so that you can grow into a commitment for love. So I have the program set up where they're healing. I'm using the resources and I'm using, the different modules and the different type of things to help them heal. But it's such a seamless process, they don't even know that they're healing. It's almost
Right.
fun, so I use exercises, I use experiment, like experiential exercises. I use different resources, different modalities, and it's just a process. And so, you start off with pillar 1 and you go through to pillar 6. And by the time you go to pillar 6, the last session is rebirth, right? Because you're rebirthing into, this new person. You've transformed. And the session before that is reinvent, and then you have like the rebirth or what have you. So yeah, it's a good process. Yeah, yeah, and it's seamless. It's so seamless, and people love that. The fact that they don't feel like they're being coached.
Yeah.
Um, they feel like I'm
So
their
it's
friend.
freedom. It's
It is
freedom for
freedom.
them.
It is freedom. That's good. I like that. Yes.
Because so many will feel stuck.
Hmm.
And, there's all sorts of challenges facing people when they are still stuck in a
Exactly.
relationship like that. There could be a lot of fear about leaving. It might not be that easy. There could be financial issues. And
Hmm.
so, what would you say to people that, they know they are stuck in that kind of
Oh,
relationship? What would be the first step for them?
talk to somebody, because that was the very first thing that I had to learn how to do. Once I said it out loud one time, you know, it was like that propelled me forward. And so I tell my clients, if they haven't talked to anybody, once they make that first step, it makes such a huge difference, because you're so scared to talk to anybody. I mean, I had a very supportive family, that would have backed me, that would have supported me. I had cops in my family. Okay. Like, it's like you have cops in your family. Like you are, they didn't even know what I was going through. So again, it's that embarrassment and that guilt and that shame, So talk to somebody. And as soon as you talk to somebody, it's like that just changes everything. Because once you say it once, you can say it again, and you can say it again, and you can say it
Mm,
again, and you're freeing yourself to come out of it. Is it scary? Yes, it is. Should you have a plan? Yes, you should. That was the main reason I stayed as long as I stayed with him, because I was so scared. I was scared to leave. I mean, he had me scared, so you do have to pay attention to your environment. You have to pay attention to make sure that you're safe. But it's a process, and you do have to be really, really careful. But um, at that point, I tried to get them to get professional people involved. If you need to get
mm,
the police to get out the house, if I hate to get family members involved, but if you have, an uncle or a brother or a cousin or something, because it can go left real fast, right? But
mm.
if you have somebody that you can rely upon to come get you, when you're ready and you're packing and moving out the house, um, you just have to use your discernment.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have to,
because it's
you
got
have
to
to,
be a safe space. That makes a lot of sense.
exactly.
What I'm hearing from you is that really women would need an exit strategy,
Yes,
rather
yes.
so that it doesn't escalate, and it's not a scary thing. So even you, so that's really fascinating. That yeah. What do you think for you and your personal experience, having, like you say, cops in the family as well? Because I'm sure that if you said one thing, yeah, you would have had all the support.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's quite strange looking back for you to think, man, that could have been stopped a lot earlier. Why do you think
Yes.
you didn't reach out to them?
I was so scared. I mean, this man had, excuse me, he had put guns out on me, like I was literally petrified, threatened within an inch of my life, not to say anything, not to, just keep it in the house. It's in the family, it's between us. And the crazy part is I had two of my uncles were cops. He was best friends with one of my uncles that was cops. So
Oh,
he hung out with him. He was the best man at the wedding and everything.
oh,
So that, I mean, they were best friends. They hung out, they did everything together. So that, I'm like, how do I talk to him about that? Like, and I had even convinced myself that they were so close that he wasn't gonna stop being friends with him because I'm telling him, that this is happening because this is his best friend, right? So yeah,
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 that makes it a lot more awkward, doesn't it?
it does.
Yeah, brings in a lot more fear there.
Right.
So, well, so with regards to your own, so you've got your program, Power, Passion, and Purpose, and it's
Yes.
a
Mhm.
6-month program, and you
Yes.
guarantee results. It's guaranteed results
Mhm.
orientated, and you work with one client at a time. So this isn't a group coaching program, is it? This is purely one to one. Is that because of the obviously the very personal nature
Exactly. Yes.
of your business that
Mhm.
it's got to be right because
Right.
it's got to be a safe space for them to open up.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so what's your how do you work this? I mean, so somebody where are you taking women from and where are you taking them to?
So I am taking them from suffering in silence to fearless and free.
Love that.
That's where I'm taking them to. I'm taking them from suffering in silence to fearless and free. And that's even just from the unhealthy and the toxic aspect. Because when you keep attracting those same type of people over and over again, you're suffering in silence too, because you can't figure out, why am I attracting these same type of men over and over again? What am I doing wrong? What is wrong with me? Why can't I attract, a man that's for me? But once the healing starts and once you start to release these old patterns and these subconscious, beliefs and, the compartmentalized things that's going on within you, through the resources and the modalities that I use for my program that is guaranteed, um, all of that starts to release, and then a lot of women come into it, like, oh, good, I'm about to finally heal so I can, get a man. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about the woman coming home to herself and learning to
Mm,
love herself, and to not only love herself, but to learn how to fall in love with herself.
love
Instead
that.
of looking externally, you start to look internally. And once you're able to have that inner healing and that heart healing and to come back home to your heart, you become the one to attract the one.
Right. And then
Yeah.
I'm sure that that will have a knock-on effect for other areas of their life, not just their
Yes.
relationship.
Yes,
Mm,
it will. It affects all areas, financially even. Just the big five, and it's early, so I'm trying to think. But the big five areas of your life, spiritually and financially, and just the whole aspect of it. You see everything changing because you have to become the change that you want to see, right?
mm,
And I never understood that, until I started my healing journey, because I've had healers, I've had my coaches, I still coach. And so I didn't understand that, like, what do you mean, me changing? What does that have to do with anything? But as you're here, you start to become that change trickles around you. And the people that is around your circle as well. So it does make a difference when you start to heal, because it'll just change everything. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's. I suppose it's always the same. It doesn't matter what you're coaching. It's always about going within. And we have been conditioned to not go within
Yes.
everything we've been
Yes.
taught throughout school life, and we're not even in the same continent, but I'm sure the school systems are very similar in the way they teach, that it's all about the external, and we're taught not to trust the internal dialogue, aren't we? We're taught not to, stop. If you're if you're daydreaming, you're imagining, no, stop that and get to work. Everything seems to be backward in relation to how we've all been brought up in general. I'm sure there might be other countries that don't do it like we do, but we've been taught that everything that we need is going to be out there or in a book or in this, whereas actually everything that we need is within us already. But we've had that knocked out of us, and we've learned not to trust it. And that's really the key, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't
It
know.
is
I
the
don't know
key.
why
It
this stuff.
is the
Why is it
key.
not being taught in schools? It just seems. Imagine a world we'd live in if the children learnt this from the get go.
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah.
So for
And and
you,
I just want to say something to that really quick, Karen.
yeah. Go
Um,
ahead.
when you if you think that you're doing it for the kids, I learned, my girls are in their 30s now. And I can see the damage that was caused by keeping them in that environment. We think that we're helping them, but it causes more harm than good. And kids remember a lot more than you think they do. And if they suffer too, because it was an abusive house. Even though they weren't in the same situation I was in, they were still in that situation. And so if you are a parent and you think you are doing this for your kid and your kid is not going to be affected, your kid is going to be affected. So if you think, that you're staying together for the kids and, for the 9 times out of 10, you're doing more harm than good. If it's not,
I,
and take the
and that's going to
kids
be
and go.
even if they're not seeing it, and I mean, as we know, I mean, this is what you're teaching, it's all energy, so they would pick up on the vibe,
It
they would
is.
pick up on something, even if they
Yes.
didn't actually see the abuse, they would be
Yes,
picking it up.
exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I just
yeah,
wanted to say that because I know that's a big one, that women stay because of the kids to keep the family together. But it's not worth it in the end because they, like
again,
I said, hmm
yeah. I mean, again, it's just
you can,
what could be what other people are going to think. It's all this,
exactly,
worrying about what other people think, or yeah, what they perceive is the right thing that they should be doing, rather than actually what is long term best for you and your children. Yeah, massive,
exactly, exactly.
massive.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
And what do your children say now?
I just see them in relationships, my oldest one, she's married. But she had a really rough time, and I could just see, because we never argued in front of them. He always took me behind closed doors to do whatever it was he
Mm-hmm.
was going to do. Um, but kids aren't stupid,
Yeah,
right?
they'll
And
pick
so
up.
they picked up a lot. So I see some of their habits. And even with me, I was broken when I was in that marriage. Even before I went into marriage, I needed healing. So a lot of times when we're broken, or when we have so much trauma, we take that into our relationships too, and we don't know that we're taking that into the relationships. And I'm not saying that me taking my trauma into the relationship was a reason for him to act the way that he acted, but I contributed to it because of the pain I was in as well, right? So I did
Mm-hmm.
play a role. It took me years to be able to admit that, right? And lots of healing
Mm,
to be able to admit that, especially since I'm the one that was being abused. But I played my part, right? And so I see certain aspects of myself when I was in my 20s, I see it in them, and it was the way I spoke and the way that I carried myself and the way that I talked and, the things that I would say and the things that he would say and the things that he would do. And they're hard, they're really hard because I was hardened at that time, because
mm,
that was how I survived.
mm,
And I wasn't able to like pour the love out in them that I should have because I was so busy trying to survive every day. So I see
mm,
them kind of hands off a little bit. And it's just little things, that I see that could have made a difference. I was gone 12 hours a day because I didn't want to be at home. So, I commuted. Um, and that was something that they hated. And they told me that when they got older, like we hated that we only got to see you an hour a day, when we were growing up, because you had to work or whatever. And so it's just little things, like I said, that I see with them.
mm.
And I tell them, because I wasn't that age when, I started my healing. Get healing,
There you
good.
go. There you go. I mean, it's
Let's,
that's the first thing, isn't it? Is
yeah,
admitting that you were part of the issue, and it because
yeah.
it's the natural thing for us all to blame.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying is blameless, but it's interesting that you say that you recognize now, looking back. I mean, at the end of the day, when we don't, none of us know what we don't know, and so it's all unconscious. No one, there's no blame here, but it's interesting that you can look back and you realize that, yeah, even if somebody is the victim, it is going to be the whole energy that is attracting somebody that's going to take advantage of that
Exactly.
vulnerable person. So it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that person's a bad person. That's why they're attracted. It's just you're in that low energy. Unfortunately, you can only attract on that vibration, and
Exactly.
and there
Yeah.
are people that are going to want to take advantage of women
Yes.
who are vulnerable, who are in pain, who have gone through trauma,
Yeah.
and that seems to be the pattern. But again, so many women will ignore that, or they just want to blame that person, and I suppose
Yeah.
that's got to be part of the healing, hasn't it?
It is a big part of the healing because it took me a long time to admit that was really really hard to admit that I was a part of the problem, because I didn't realize how broken I was. I didn't realize I was walking around with so much trauma myself. I was angry and bitter and sad and I was walking around with a lot of unhealed patterns that was going on in me. And So when you're in that space, you can't really bring anything healthy to the relationship either, right?
Mm.
I always say an unhealthy relationship, a unhealthy person plus an unhealthy person equals an unhealthy relationship. There's no balance there. And if you both have trauma, if you're both toxic, if you both haven't dealt with your issues, you're that's just it's toxic. It's just gonna
Yes.
explode, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to go through that process and be able to admit that to yourself. And again, my program, what I love about it is it's not a no blame. It's not it's not talking about what you did or what the other person did or it's nothing like that. It's just about small curated steps that just take you to a place where you can just start to break that cycle. And then it was important for me to break for my girls to break the cycle too, and that's why I talked to them. And I did used to tell them, this is not how marriage should be. I don't want you all to ever strive for this because this is not how marriage should be. This is not the type of relationship that you should be in. This you should not be this unhappy. Everybody knew I
Mm.
was unhappy, but nobody knew why. They're like, why is she
Mm.
so unhappy? So I did tell them, and they are working on breaking the cycle because they recognize it. They recognize that what I was in with their dad was unhealthy. You
Right.
know, so again, it's hard, for any woman that's going through this. Like, I am holding space for you, and my heart really does go out to you. I know what you're going through, the struggle that you're going through. Should I stay? Should I go? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? How am I going to from a two-income house to a one-income house? I know all of the thoughts. Is it safe for me to leave? I and I am praying for you because I know what you're going through. I understand. But at the end of the day, you have to do this for yourself because you deserve to be free. You
Everybody
deserve to
deserves to be
don't have to
happy.
suffer in silence.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, like what you said about almost admitting to yourself that you can recognize that part of it was you is empowering, isn't it? Because otherwise you've got to wait for the other person to change. They ain't going to change.
It is very empowering.
Yeah, the only person who can
Yeah,
change is
yeah.
you.
It is actually
So
very empowering. Yes, it
yeah,
is.
I mean and it's a shame that so many people
Yeah.
are afraid to admit these things. But it's like, well, this is brilliant. It's the best way it can be because now I can heal and now things can change. If it was the other way round, then you're forever going to be a victim.
Move
And
on.
there's yeah, because they're not going to change. Whether you
Yeah.
want them to or not, they're not going to change. So with you, I know you use lots of different modalities
Hmm.
and things and techniques, but what is the transformational coaching method technique that you use to help clients successfully, get to their goals in your coaching program?
Um, so the transformational coaching method is small curated steps, right? And so the way that the transformational coaching method is set up is as I'm going through each session, I take very small curated steps because the ego knows when you're making changes, right? And so the ego wants to stop you because you've been in survival for so long, need to protect you, right? And so as you are starting to make this transformation and start to heal the patterns and the rewiring neurons and all the stuff that goes with that, the ego wants to keep you the same. And so with the transformational coaching method, it's such small curated steps the ego doesn't know that you're making
Ah,
changes. And so it makes the process so much easier in each session. Now there is, between sessions 4 and 5, I call those the self-sabotage session because it takes up to 5 sessions before the ego realizes, wait a minute, what
catches
are you
up.
doing? You're making, yeah, like what is going on here right now? Like, no, you're not going to make changes. So during during session 4 and 5, I am like checking on them every day, having them to reach out to me. How's it going? Are you okay? Because during that time, when the ego realizes something is going on, all of a sudden you can't make the sessions. All of a sudden, you can't make whatever, it's like 1,000 excuses, for you not to show up for yourself, right? And then once you get past 4 and 5, you're going back into the small curated steps, but 4 and 5 is the hump, because once you get over
Yes.
there and you get that ego out the way, it's like, okay,
Yes.
I can feel it. I can feel the difference. I can feel the change. I can feel the transformation happening. So yeah, so it's mainly just the small curated steps. Like that's the guaranteed success because
Right.
when you're trying to take those large leaps and bounds, sometimes that's not what's needed. The ego can't take that. That's too much change at one time. So the small curated steps is where it is.
Love that. And that makes so much sense. This is why so many people, well, for instance, New Year's resolutions, that's why they don't last. That's why when people start, they're going to go to the gym and they start out doing loads and loads and loads. And yeah, they're going to hit that barrier. They're going to hit that barrier because our minds want to keep us with what it knows. And if we're going to do something out of place, then it's like, no. And I always think maybe it's just me and my willpower. I always say I think I've got a 2-week limit. I don't think I've even got a 4-week limit. I think I've got a 2-week limit. And because like they say it takes 21 days to create a habit. No chance. I think it takes a lot longer than that.
I think it takes a lot longer. I agree with you, Karen. I agree.
I'm like, who came up with that number? I don't think so, or it's just me.
Yeah, I agree. Me. No, it definitely takes because more than 21
there
days.
Is that gap, and it's how to manage that gap between using your willpower, starting something new and all excited, to it becoming habitual. So I love what you just said there. That there's that gap. And that's when you're going to give even more support and even more there to motivate them, because they're going to hit that. It's like there's a wall, isn't it? It's like they hit that wall of fear, and then all the doubt and the worry and the anxiety come through, and this isn't going to work. This is all that little negative chitter chatter, which, come on, with all our advancements, surely they can come up with something like in the Matrix, chuck something in.
Exactly. Could they? Okay, to get rid of that
it would be so much easier. Can you just download that repetitive program, please, and upload me a new one? I'm hoping they're working on it. I'm really hoping they're working on it. It would be so much easier, wouldn't it? But
it would be.
Anything, I mean, everybody wants change now. We live in it's instant gratification era. But like with what you're doing, it's accepting that it's not going to happen overnight. Just like you can't go to the gym once and, lose 2 stone. It's not going to happen. Just as the body, there's little changes that are going to need to take over time. Same with the mind. Whatever patterns we've had going for the last 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever, however many decades, really, it makes sense that there is never going to be an instant fix. I joke about that, but I still don't think they're ever going to do it. Our bodies are too complex. Our minds are too complex. Our whole programming is too complex. It's just not going to happen. So I love what you're doing and breaking it down into small, easily digestible chunks. Try and trick. I love it. You're trying to trick the ego mind for as long as you can.
For as long as I can.
You go around as long as you can before you go, okay, now you need the real support to get them through that gap until it becomes habitual. And then how does it feel as a coach when you see them step over that mark?
I call it the light bulb moment, because it's like, okay, we triumphed, okay. And then they're so excited because they know, I've completely prepared them for it. I've given them every sign. I've given them the worksheet. This is, you need to do A, B, C, D. This is what you need to watch. So once they get past it, after they recognize it, and they get through it, because every last one of them, even if it's just one thing, they're going to go through something that's going to make it look like self-sabotage. I had one client where she literally, I had to walk her. It was so hard for her, but she was a really big case. For a month, I had to chase her to book her next session, and it's supposed to be every 2 weeks. and I'm like calling her and she's like, ignoring me, and I'm texting her and I'm sending her, just constantly just following up, following up, following up, following up. And I'm like, come on, you can do this. You got this. You got this. You just got to get through this hump. You got to get through this hump. So, it's, on the bigger, more severe ones like that, it's just like, oh my gosh, like we got through this, girl, like that was rough. Okay. But it is such a good feeling as a coach to just really be there and cheering them on and being that support and letting them know they're not alone and they don't have to do it alone. It is a good feeling. It is a very good feeling.
And that's the thing. I think as women, it's almost, again, we've been brought up to, not ask for help, because so many pressures are on us to, deal with the kids and deal with the house and deal with this, that, and the other. And to admit that you need help is almost perceived sometimes for people that's you're failing, which is absolute rubbish.
It
In
is
fact,
rubbish.
let's look at any guy that hits any massive goal. Do they do it by themselves? No, they don't.
No,
No,
they don't.
you know of anybody who's achieved anything really worthwhile? Have they really done it by themselves?
No, no,
Everybody, we all
no.
need help and guidance and support in
We all
different
need
parts of
help.
our
Yeah,
journey. And it's just a
yeah.
shame that we've somehow come to the conclusion that we shouldn't ever ask for help because that means we failed in some way. And hopefully things are changing now. I think, with all the talk of mental health and, with everything that's happened in the last 3 years, the madness of the globe, I really think things are changing. So then
I believe
people,
it.
yeah, hopefully
I believe
people
it.
are going to be reaching out a little bit more. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the hope. So you're in Mexico. What part of Mexico are you in?
I am in Playa del Carmen.
Yeah,
So that's
Playa del
about 50 minutes outside of Cancun. I've been
Yeah,
here for about 5 months now. So yeah, yeah,
lovely. I think I said to
yeah.
you when we first spoke, I've got a thing about Mexico, so I'm hoping to go to Tulum. It's probably
Oh,
going to be
Tulum is
later this
awesome.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah, love to.
the energy field there is just, amazing. It's like an energy vortex there that just,
Wow.
makes you feel like you are in another dimension, right? Like a parallel dimension
Love
or
that.
something. Yeah, the energy there is
Oh, love
great.
that. Love that. And I
Hmm.
suppose that's the beauty of being a coach. You can be a digital nomad. Oh, it's
Yeah, yeah, you
yeah,
can. You
that's
can.
that's freedom. That's
It's
what
free.
what
That's
that's what I
freedom.
call that's what I call freedom. Everybody's got their own
It
thing.
is freedom.
They got their own thing. But yeah, for me, it's definitely I'm definitely going to do a few months in Mexico this year.
Oh, that
Ah,
is so
ah,
good. Yay for
yeah, can't wait.
you.
Can't
Yes.
wait. Get me out of London.
Let
I
me have
need
a
some.
little break, okay?
Yeah, I need some sunshine, man. I need some
Well, you
sunshine.
got plenty here, girl. You got
Yeah,
plenty here, okay? Oh my gosh, it's
brilliant.
still in the 80s here.
Oh, shush.
Every day, every day.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Well, enjoy, enjoy. So, to the listeners, if they're out there and thinking, yes, okay, this is the year that I'm going to do this, and I need help, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can get in touch with me by going to my website, www.relationshipfreedomforwomen.com. There is a contact form on there, and you just fill the contact form out, and it'll come to me. You can set up a consultation. We can, talk on the phone, and you know, like in closing remarks, Karen, I just want women to remember we all start off in denial because we have the rose colored glasses on. So you have to go from denial into awareness, of the situation that you're in, into accepting the situation that you're in or that you've been in so that you can get the healing. So it is a process. But the very first thing is you have to come out of denial. You have to come out of denial. Once you may have that first conversation, with somebody and you come out of denial, you're on your way. And coaching, to me, coaching is just the way to go. It saved me. I mean, coaching literally saved my life, with all the trauma that I had, going on within me. And it was important for me to get as much healing as I needed to get because I wanted to be able to coach in integrity. I didn't want to be one of those that's still hurting, that's walking around in pain and trauma, and then trying to tell my clients what to do. So I can say, to women, I have gone through it. Is the work hard? Heck yeah, it is. Is it worth it? Even more, yes.
I love that. And that is it. I mean, it's the inner work. And it's funny, again, we've just been conditioned, it's all the outer work. No, it's do the inner work. But, some people, when they're in that space, they're possibly not even going to be able to meditate or to be able to use some of the tools or techniques initially because there is so much fear or there is so much anxiety that they won't even be able to stay still and stop their mind going.
Yeah.
So it is about the slowly approach and just being aware that it's going to take time. Like anything, we learn anything new. Nobody just automatically does it. There is a process, like you say. There's a process to everything, and I know everybody wants to jump from one to mastery
like
overnight.
I want this done quickly. You make sure it happens fast, okay?
Yeah. When I press pay, I want it all to be gone.
Exactly.
No,
right. Okay. Where's my genie? Where's my genie? Blink. Okay.
It takes work, but inner work, and inner work is actually, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be horrible. I'm sure there's going to be some dips and troughs, but it is all about doing the inner work.
And you have somebody with you. You're not doing it alone. So if you are feeling that, I have it set up, where I have unlimited email support, and you can reach out to me at any time. I had a client over the weekend, Sunday night at 10:30, completely freaking out. Like, Shataun, I know you don't work on the weekends. I feel so bad reaching out to you, but I am like, I need you. I need you right now, and I need you to tell me A, B, C, D. Coach me, help me. And it took 15, 20 minutes, but it's worth it. Because I want my client to continue to move forward. And to progress, and whatever it is that it takes to make sure that they are there in that space. I make myself available for them.
Awesome.
So women just don't feel like you have to do it alone. That's the whole reason for a coach. We're your cheerleader, we're your confidant, we're your support, we're your, what I'm saying? Like, we got you. We got your back.
And that's it. And then the whole process is going to be so much easier than doing it alone.
It is.
It doesn't have to be that scary. I think everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs a coach. Yeah. We all need that. I have a coach.
Exactly.
I've always had a coach.
Needs a coach. Yeah.
Coach needs a coach. Coach needs a coach. Because there's always going to be things that and in whatever area, if anything that you've got that you want to achieve some goal, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in health, whatever, the shortest route is getting a coach.
Right, get a coach.
Why not?
I did one of those, like, got milk. I did a got a coach. Question mark.
Okay.
Like, do you have a coach? Here's a coach for you.
We all need them. So can you repeat your website? Anybody watching, obviously they'll have all your links down. They'll be able to see them down there.
Okay.
But for anybody just listening, repeat your website again.
It's www.relationshipfreedomforwomen.com.
Awesome. Relationship freedom for women. So get in touch. It doesn't have to be a scary place. If this is your time and you're scared and you don't know how you're going to do it, then reach out. reach out. It's okay to ask for help. So, I mean, I think that's the main point that I've got from our conversation today.
It is.
So thank you so much for your time
Thank
today,
you so
Shataun.
much, Karen. Thank
I'm
you.
not jealous too much that where you are. I know it's morning there. You've got the whole day to get down the beach and do what you like.
I
And
do. I
oh
do. I
dear,
do. I
oh dear.
love it. I love it. I'm supposed to be here for a year, so I got like 7 more months to go. So,
Oh, okay. I think I could only I think I'm only allowed in for 6 months. I think max.
right. And yes, and mine is 6 months, and I actually have to leave at the end of this month for like 2 or 3 days, and then I have to come
Right.
back into
And
the
then you can
country
come
and get
back
a new.
in.
Yeah. So I'm almost at
There's
that
got to
point
be
now.
ways, or pop over to Panama or somewhere and then come back.
That's what. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
literally
mean,
2 hours from here, right? So.
this is it. This is my dream. I've spent so much of my life abroad, and I've been back now about 10, 11 years now back in the UK for the kids. A little bit more of
Okay.
stability for them, but they're all busy now. It's like, can I?
Right. It's
We're
my
getting there.
turn. My
Yeah,
turn.
not forever. I wouldn't move forever. It would literally be maybe 3 months over there and then come back, and then I love the lifestyle. I love the lifestyle. So
Yes.
thank you. Great conversation today, and
Yes. Thank
important
you.
conversation today to help women break free. So thank you for your time. And
Thank
guys,
you.
if you're out there listening and you yourself are a coach and you're ready to scale your business, and if you need help with designing, creating, marketing, and selling your specific online program, because there's lots of different coaches, lots of different consultants solving different problems with different tools in their toolbox. So please go to the website, or you can book a call, KarenRobertsCoaching.com/discovery, and just come and have a quick chat with either myself or my team. So I will be back on Monday with a coffee with Karen. So thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.